Hey, it's Bryn. So, what you're about to listen to is actually a quick audio recap generated from one of our live Mind Over ARE coaching calls. These are meant to give you a little bite sized takeaway and some motivation to help you pass your next architecture exam. All right, let's dive in.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something, well, really special. Something I think is incredibly insightful, especially for those of you navigating, let's face it, the complexities of architectural practice and, yeah, the ARE 5.0 exam. We're bringing you a special coaching highlight. This is pulled straight from the live calls of Mind Over ARE. That's a core part of ABC Club Premium, by the way. Now, these calls, they're usually exclusive to our ABC Club Premium members. So think of this as, well, a sneak peek, a chance for you to really experience the kind of focused study content we get into there. And today's topic is floor area ratio, FAR. It's fundamental in architecture, in planning, and if you're gearing up for exams like the ARE 5.0, that's the Architect Registration Examination from NCARB, the National Council of Architectural Registration Boards, you absolutely need to get this. Okay, let's unpack this then. What we're diving into today, it's a really great example of the kind of clarity you get when you're prepping for something like the ARE 5.0. It turns a potential, stumbling block into something you feel confident about.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? How something like FAR, floor area ratio, it seems like just a number, but it really dictates the scale, the scope of projects. It shapes our cities. And yeah, that often trips people up. So mastering it is, well, it's essential. It really underpins so much of what architects and planners do.
Absolutely. So let's make it real. Let's jump right into a typical scenario, something you'd see on the exam or, frankly, in practice. Okay, imagine this. You've got a site. It's in Chicago. The zoning code says the FAR limit is 3.0, and your lot, 20,000 square feet. So the question is, what's the maximum allowable floor area you can build? Are we looking at, say, A, 40,000 square feet, B, 50,000, C, 60,000, or maybe D, 80,000 square feet? This kind of question just immediately makes it practical, right? It's not just theory. It's about what you can actually design and build.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And connecting that to the bigger picture. These aren't just, academic questions. They hit right at design feasibility. They impact costs, schedules, getting project approval. It starts right here. Understanding this calculation, and maybe more importantly, why the city has these rules, that's critical. It could be the difference between a project sailing through planning or getting stuck because of a basic misunderstanding about, how much building you're allowed.
Makes total sense. So before we actually solve that Chicago problem, let's just back up for a second, make sure everyone's with us. Can you give us the nutshell version? What exactly is FAR, the core idea?
Sure. FAR, floor area ratio. It's simply a ratio. It compares the building's total floor area to the size of the lot it sits on. So an FAR of 1.0, well, you could build a single-story building covering the whole lot, or maybe a two-story building covering half the lot area, or 4 stories on a quarter of the lot. You get the idea. It's a measure of intensity, really.
Okay, got it. The basic math seems clear. But here's where I think it gets really interesting. Why is this ratio so important? I mean, who is it for? Why does a city care so much about controlling this specific number? It feels quite, specific.
It feels specific, but its impact is huge. We as designers need to know the FIR so we can size the building correctly for the city's rules, for their zoning regulations. The city controls it because it's a key part of zoning. Zoning is how cities manage growth, right? Dividing land, setting rules for what goes where. And FAR's main job is to control density, to maintain a certain character in a district. Think about it. A low FIR in a suburb helps keep things green, open. A high FR downtown, that encourages taller buildings, more density, supports walkability. And this brings up a key point. The basic definition seems simple, but how you apply it can be tricky. Floor area for FAR. It isn't always just every square foot inside the building. Sometimes cities exclude things like basements or maybe mechanical spaces on the roof or parking garages. So you really have to dig into the local code to see exactly what counts towards that allowable area. It's a detail, but a really important one. It can change your design possibilities quite a bit.
That's a really crucial point. So it's not just the number 3.0 in our example, but what that number actually applies to. Depends on a specific city rules. Sounds like architects and developers really need to know the nitty-gritty of each local code.
Okay, so now that we understand the why and some of these subtleties, let's get back to the math, our Chicago example. FAR limit 3.0, lot size 20,000 square feet. How do we actually calculate the maximum allowable floor area? What's the formula we need here?
Right. The basic formula is actually pretty simple. It's FIR equals allowable floor area divided by lot size. So to find the allowable floor area, which is what the question asks for, we just rearrange that a bit. Allowable floor area equals FAR multiplied by lot size. Simple multiplication. So for the Chicago question, FAR is 3.0, lot size is 20,000 square feet. You multiply those. 3.0 times 20,000 square feet, that gives you 60,000 square feet. So option C, 60,000 square feet, that's your maximum allowable floor area. Okay, 3.0 times 20,000 is 60,000. So C is our answer. Got it. It is pretty direct once you know the formula and what the pieces are. You could almost think of FAR as like a space budget for your building, making sure it fits the neighborhood, doesn't overload things. Now, the calculation itself, okay, it seems straightforward once you see it. But I know, speaking for myself when I was studying, and I hear this a lot, people struggle not just with remembering formulas, but really wrapping their head around how FAR really impacts design. Does that sound familiar to you listening out there? What are some of the common hangups or maybe unexpected issues with FAR, even for people who've been doing this a while?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great point because, yeah, the calculation's easy, but understanding the implications, that's where the real learning is and the value. What's interesting is, a high FAR doesn't automatically mean a super tall building. Let's say you have a generous FAR, maybe 6.0, but the site also has, say, a strict height limit of 100 feet or big setback requirements or limits on how much of the lot you can actually cover with the building footprint. You might end up designing a wider, maybe squatter building that fills the footprint rather than a tall, skinny one, just to use up that FAR. It's how FAR interacts with other zoning rules, height, setbacks, open space. It's really critical. It's definitely a balancing act. Sometimes you have to make trade-offs. And another thing often overlooked maybe is the economic side. Developers are always looking at FAR. It directly impacts their potential profit, their return on investment. Sometimes if a project just can't hit the FAR target because of other site issues, they might need to ask for a zoning variance. Or they might look into something like TDR's transferable development rights.
That's where basically you can sell your unused development potential, your leftover FAR, to someone else for their property in a different area. It's often used to preserve historic buildings or open space somewhere while allowing more density somewhere else. It's kind of an advanced use of FAR, but it shows how flexible and powerful it can be as a planning tool.
Wow, that's really insightful. TDRs, that's fascinating. So yeah, getting a handle on FAR, it's way more than just passing an exam question, isn't it? It's about having the tools to navigate city design, to contribute effectively to development projects, and really understand how cities grow and change. It helps you appreciate the sort of invisible rules shaping our buildings and streets.
Exactly. Knowledge is powerful when you can apply it. And here, applying FAR knowledge smartly means better design within the rules, avoiding big mistakes, and ultimately creating successful projects that work for everyone.
Okay, so that pretty much wraps up our deep dive today on floor area ratio. We covered the basic definition, why it's so key for zoning and density, the calculation itself, and importantly, how it interacts with other rules and even these advanced ideas like TDRs. It really sits at that crossroads of design, policy, and city life.
And it does raise a bigger question, doesn't it? Beyond just the numbers. How does a city's philosophy on FAR, how high or low they set it in different areas, how does that really define the city's character, its identity? Even the quality of life for the people living there. And it affects sunlight, open space, walkability. It's a really powerful lever in shaping our urban experience.
That's a great point. FAR isn't just technical, it's about livability. It shows how tied together design, rules, and community well-being really are. And, these are exactly the kinds of discussions, the kind of layered understanding and practical problem solving we get into in our Mind over ARE coaching calls. What you just heard is honestly a perfect taste of that expert guidance you find inside ABC Club Premium. Because in Premium, it's not just highlights like this. You get the live coaching calls. You can ask your specific questions right then and there. Plus, you get dedicated accountability support to keep you on track. And you get full access to the entire coaching highlights library. It's all searchable. Imagine having all these expert breakdowns, these insights, just ready for you whenever you hit a tricky concept for the ARE 5.0 or any other challenge. This session on FAR, it's just one example of the kind of detailed, practical help inside ABC Club Premium. So if you're serious about really mastering concepts like this, about nailing your exams with confidence, and really building that strong foundation for your career, then I encourage you, join Premium today. Get full access to the live calls, the replays, the whole library. It's an incredible resource. Yeah. You can learn more and sign up. Just check the link in the show notes for this deep dive. Or you can head straight to dc.beyoungdesign.com/ABC Club. That's dci.beyoungdesign.com/ABC Club. Don't miss out. Until next time, keep digging deeper.